Jackson caught Vanessa cheating with her boss. She admitted it with a smirk. Their shared friends took her side. Instead of reacting, Jackson packed his bag, grabbed his keys, and left. As the door clicked behind him, he felt a strange sense of relief, like he was finally free from something he couldn't name. He checked into a cheap motel outside Chicago. Clean enough. Quiet. He turned off his phone and stared at the ceiling. No rage. Just disbelief. 3 years of love ending with a smoothie, a smirk, and silence. Sleep wouldn't come, but it didn't matter. Something inside him had already woken up. When he powered his phone back on, it exploded. Calls, texts, messages. But what hit hardest were the social media posts. Vanessa played the victim. Claimed he was controlling, manipulative, emotionally abusive. People believed her. People he thought were his friends. He just stared and felt calm. She uploaded crying selfies. Claimed financial abuse over splitting bills. Claimed isolation. Hundreds commented with sympathy. Jackson didn't even flinch. She was building a narrative. And now, he was curious how far she'd take it. Because if she wanted to play dirty, he could play smarter. Van Macked in. At his favorite cafe, the barista who used to smile now avoided his eyes. Vanessa had already been there, spinning her tale. That night, at his storage unit, he ran into Juliet, Vanessa's old friend. She looked nervous. "You need to be careful," she whispered. "This isn't the first time." Juliet told him about another man, Mark. Same story. Same betrayal. Same mysterious disappearance. And Vanessa's new lover? Caleb, her boss, was married. Juliet warned him, Vanessa had a history of turning on people. Suddenly, the truth wasn't just betrayal. It was a pattern. A setup. Then came the message on Instagram, from Mrs. L. Donahue. Caleb's wife. Elegant, poised. "We need to talk about my husband and your ex." Jackson replied, 10 a.m. Bluebird Cafe. He wasn't nervous. If anything, he was ready. Ready to end the story she tried to control. Linda Donahue showed up on time, with a folder full of receipts. Emails, photos, audio, hotel bills. "This isn't her first time," she said. Or his. Jackson offered his side, texts, financials, betrayal. Together, they formed a plan. Not for revenge. For justice. Cold. Legal. Effective. Linda introduced Jackson to Margot, her lawyer. Sharp, fast-talking, dangerous in heels. "We'll leak it anonymously," she said. "Send a formal letter to the board. Use the NDA Vanessa signed. Let the machine eat itself." Jackson nodded. It was time to burn the lies to the ground. The letter was sent. Emails delivered. Tip lines triggered. Caleb was suspended in 48 hours. Vanessa took personal leave. But the internet remembered her fake posts. Her timeline crumbled. Friends who once sided with her began deleting comments. But Jackson didn't forget. Kevin messaged. "Didn't know it was that deep, bro." Emma messaged too. "I feel used. I'm so sorry." Jackson left them on read. If they could believe her so quickly, they didn't deserve to know him at all. Real friends don't disappear when it's inconvenient to believe in you. Jackson spent his nights walking under streetlights, thinking about what peace really meant. Not silence. Not avoidance. But truth. Clean, quiet truth. And the truth was, he never needed to scream. He just had to stop giving people access to hurt him again. That was power. He saw Vanessa again by accident. She looked tired. "You ruined me," she said. "No," he replied. "You did." She reached for a familiar script, guilt, sadness, tears. "But it didn't work this time. Being calm scared you," he said. "Because I never gave you the chaos you fed on." He moved to Seattle. New city, clean slate. Found a cozy apartment and did freelance work. Nobody knew his name. No one whispered behind his back. The quiet wasn't empty. It was earned. He built his routine with hikes, late-night drives, and music that made him feel like himself again. Linda emailed him. Caleb had been terminated. Internal investigation confirmed everything. Vanessa had quietly relocated to Arizona, jobless and silent. Their story had collapsed under its own weight. Jackson didn't feel triumphant. He felt done. And that was enough. A year passed. Then came the unexpected, a letter from Juliet. "I was scared," she wrote. "I should have spoken up earlier. I'm sorry." Jackson didn't need the apology. But he accepted it. Not for her. For himself. Closure didn't always need an audience. A new message appeared in his inbox. From Mark Albright. "Thank you. You did what I couldn't. If you ever need anything, I'm here." Jackson smiled. Somewhere out there, someone like him got their life back too. That made all the pain mean something. Jackson realized something simple but powerful: loyalty doesn't mean silence. Love doesn't mean blindness. And peace? Peace means walking away when someone hands you a mask and begs you to pretend it fits. He didn't need a war to win. He just needed to leave. He started therapy. Joined a book club. Shared drinks with strangers who became real friends. Not ones who stayed quiet. Ones who asked, "Are you okay?" and meant it. The scars didn't disappear, but they stopped itching. Sometimes healing just means outgrowing the noise. One night, Jackson stood on a bridge overlooking the water. Lights shimmered, wind brushed past his face. He whispered a quiet goodbye to the boy who loved Vanessa. The man standing here now? He'd never be that naive again. Not bitter. Not broken. Just, finally whole. Seattle brought quiet, not the kind that isolates, but the kind that soothes. Jackson rented a small studio above a bakery. He spent mornings drinking coffee on the fire escape, watching the city stretch itself awake. The woman downstairs, Lydia, ran the bakery and treated him like a nephew. "You have kind eyes," she once told him. He didn't know how to respond. But her muffins were warm, and her gossip was free. He joined a co-working space downtown. That's where he met Leo, tall, tattooed, ex-musician. They bonded over burnt coffee and cynicism. One day, Leo asked, "So, what's your story?" Jackson just said, "I left someone who was never really with me." Leo clinked his can of soda against Jackson's and said, "To walking away." And it stuck. That became their thing, toasting small victories over the past. One afternoon, Jackson saw Vanessa's LinkedIn on a suggested profile. New city, new job title, new fake smile. He stared at the screen for a second, then clicked away. No hate. No pain. Just nothing. That was real closure, not needing revenge, not needing validation. Just indifference. He turned back to his work and realized, she no longer lived in his head rent-free. Dr. Ellis, his therapist, once said, "You don't need to be over it. You just need to be with it." And still breathing. Therapy taught Jackson that loyalty without boundaries isn't love, it's fear. He had stayed too long because he thought love meant sacrifice. Now he knew love also meant choosing himself when no one else would. He met Sienna in a bookstore. She was reading a book on grief, not because she was grieving, but because, she said, "I like to understand what breaks us." She had messy curls and the kind of voice that made poetry out of small talk. They talked for an hour between shelves. She wrote her number on a sticky note and tucked it into the book he bought. It felt simple. And real. Their first date was coffee and a long walk around Green Lake. Jackson didn't overshare. But he told her enough, about betrayal, leaving, rebuilding. She didn't flinch. "I don't expect perfect," she said. "But I respect honest." That night, he didn't kiss her. But as they stood under the soft orange streetlights, he thought, maybe this time, it won't hurt to fall. Sienna never rushed him. She never asked for parts of him that weren't ready. One night, while they lay in bed, she whispered, "You don't have to prove you're okay with me. You just have to be real." Jackson didn't say anything. He just held her tighter, grateful for the quiet between them. Some healing didn't need words, it just needed patience. His new life was built from calm days, freelance projects, dinners with Sienna, board games with Leo. He no longer waited for someone to pull the rug out. His circle was small, but solid. One night, after Sienna kissed him goodbye, Leo patted Jackson's back and said, "You're good now, bro. You're not surviving anymore. You're living." Jackson believed it. Linda emailed, "We found Mark. Montana. Married. Safe. He says thank you." Jackson stared at the screen. He remembered that terrified version of himself. The one who thought silence was the only answer. Now, he had helped someone else get out. That was more than revenge. It was redemption. Jackson sat on the rooftop at sunset, Seattle glowing below. He opened his notes app and typed, "I forgive the boy who stayed. I thank the man who walked away. I welcome who I'm becoming." Then he smiled. Not because he was finished healing. But because he was finally moving without looking back. Autumn came. Jackson and Sienna took a trip to the coast. They stayed in a cabin that smelled like cedar and salt. They cooked together, read books by the fire, made love like they were writing new memories over old scars. On the last night, she whispered, "I think I'm falling." He didn't answer with words, he just pulled her closer. They drove back through rain. Sienna sang along to Fleetwood Mac. Jackson listened more than he spoke. She didn't need fixing. And she didn't try to fix him. That was the magic of it, two people, whole enough to grow beside each other without losing themselves. It was love without a leash. Back in the city, Jackson got a call from his old landlord. "Thought you should know, Vanessa came by. She asked about you." He didn't feel fear. Just confusion. Why now? But instead of spiraling, he just said, "Thanks," and hung up. Whatever she wanted, he had no space left to give her. Sienna found the note later that night, one Jackson had written months ago but never sent. A letter to his younger self. It said, "You did your best. You loved the wrong person, but it doesn't make you weak. It makes you human." She read it, kissed him softly, and said, "He'd be proud of you." Jackson began writing again. Not code, stories. Short fiction. Essays about healing, trust, and second chances. He submitted one anonymously to a local journal. It got published. When he read it in print for the first time, he teared up. Not for the words. For how far he'd come. Sienna planned a surprise for his birthday, a small party with Leo, Lydia, and a few new friends. There was cake, laughter, and no ghosts from the past. As they toasted, Leo shouted, "To the best restart I've ever seen." Jackson grinned, heart full. For once, he didn't feel like the past defined him. He opened Instagram one morning and saw Vanessa's face again. Someone had tagged her in a wedding photo. She was getting married. Jackson stared for a moment, then swiped away. Not with bitterness. Not with regret. Just with a quiet sigh. Some stories don't need sequels. Just endings. Sienna sat beside him on a bench near the lake, their hands intertwined. "Do you ever think about her?" she asked. He was honest. "Sometimes. But less and less. She feels like a character in a book I closed a long time ago." Sienna nodded. "And I'm the new chapter?" "You're the whole book," he said. They adopted a rescue dog, Benny, part husky, part chaos. He chewed through 2 pairs of Jackson's shoes in a week, but Jackson didn't care. Every time Benny curled beside him, Jackson felt something deep in his chest shift. He wasn't just building a life anymore. He was living one. On their 1-year anniversary, Sienna gifted him a framed copy of his first published story. Inside, she wrote, "To the man who didn't break, he just bent and built something better." Jackson kissed her and whispered, "Thank you for helping me build." She smiled, "You already had the pieces. I just handed you the light." Jackson sat by the lake, Benny at his feet. "I used to think closure meant saying everything," he told Sienna. "And now?" she asked. "Now I think it's peace. Not needing them to understand." Benny barked at a boat, and Jackson laughed. For the first time in years, it didn't sound empty, it sounded free. He visited his parents. His mom cried. His dad hugged him tight. They drank tea at the kitchen table. He told them just enough. "You've always been strong," his mom said. He walked through his old room that night. The past didn't hurt anymore, it just felt small. He finally felt grown. A college invited him to speak about healing. He hesitated. Sienna said, "You don't have to inspire them. Just be real." So he was. He talked about heartbreak, leaving, rebuilding. The crowd clapped. For the first time, he didn't shrink from their praise, he accepted it. And it felt like a beginning. Spring bloomed. Sienna painted. Benny stole the couch. Jackson wrote every day. Life was calm, real. Love wasn't loud, it was shared coffee, walks after rain, laughter during dinner. One night he whispered thanks to the life he never saw coming. He didn't rebuild what he lost. He built something better. They married under a tree near the lake. Just close friends, quiet vows, and soft wind. After, Jackson stood alone at the shore. He whispered goodbye, not to her, but to the boy he used to be. Then he turned back to Sienna, his wife, his home. And smiled. Ready for whatever came next.